Hello, hello, hello.
What's up, Parker?
Not much. What's up with you?
Nothing, man. Happy Fortitude in 15.
Happy. Just another week. Cruising through the Fortitude and 15s. Cruising through episodes. Episode 122, right? Is that it?
That is it, man. Pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy. And I just want to shout out Elevation Nation and all of our listeners. Sam and I can't thank you enough for tuning in and chiming in to our conversations every single week. We appreciate you so much. And I just wanted to make that known.
Yes, we truly appreciate it. We have a blast making these for you guys. It's always nice to connect with Parker, but more importantly, it's nice to have an impact on people. And it's great to hear so many people are enjoying these stories. We have some very loyal listeners who text Parker and myself every week saying they agreed with this or disagreed with this or like the point here. So that really means a lot to us. Really appreciate all the kind words and even the constructive criticism. So keep it coming. As we get into this new year, we got a lot of cool things in store for Elevation Nation, including our new segment on mental mottos. So check that out. We got a page on our website, and it's all over Instagram. We'd love to hear your mental mottos as well. So if you have a motto you live by, that you're trying to live by for 2022, send them our way for a chance to be featured in Elevation Nation on our website, and perhaps even some cool custom apparel to be sent your way. So DM us. We want to hear your mental mottos.
We've put them out there to the world. We want you to come to us, and we will put those out there for you. But let's talk about our topic of the day. In the news recently, you've probably seen Joe Rogan in the news headlining, Spotify headlining in the news, Neil Young headlining in the news. So we weren't going to specifically talk about what transpired with Spotify and Joe Rogan and Neil Young and all the people who are threatening pulling their music from Spotify due to some of the conversations and quote-unquote misinformation that Joe Rogan's podcast is or isn't promoting on their platform. But we did want to talk about the idea today of just how overwhelming it is as a member of society, not even just a young adult, to have so many different news outlets in our face, so many different ideas in our face, so many different facts in our face, and sometimes it can be really challenging to figure out what is real, what is fake, and how to even take whatever you're looking at into consideration. So really cool, important topic, I think.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of different news sources everywhere. Everyone has an opinion. Parker and I have opinions. We make a podcast on it. We definitely don't have the full source of truth. But we do have a really good mentor to look up to when it comes to figuring out the news and having difficult conversations and trying to break out of our echo chambers. And that is the one and only Sophie Barron of The Conversationalist. If you haven't heard of The Conversationalist, check them out. They are trying to amplify the voices of Gen Z and break us out of our comfort zone so that we're hearing differing opinions, both sides or every side on topics that come up in the news. So check out The Conversationalist. I think it's a great way to practice and flex those muscles of being open-minded, listening to other people's opinions and point of views while crafting your own perspective as well. I think it's important to keep in mind that just because someone has a different opinion or idea or concept does not necessarily make them wrong. Everyone has a different background. They have different genetics. They have a different way that they were nurtured and raised. They have a different religion. They grew up in a different area, a different style of life. They have different goals. Allow people to have a different opinion.
Yeah, but this isn't about opinion. This is about fact. Opinion's one thing.
Well, I don't think it's that cut and dry, Parker.
Why?
Opinion, because
this is about fact.
Most of the topics in today's day and age have opinions skewed all over them. With how we get our news today, there's less of unbiased sources of fact, and we're hearing things usually second, third, and fourth hand as it's been filtered and distilled through different publications with different spins on things. So while it's great to say that like we want to find and locate the facts of situations in the news, I think that is hard to do in today's day and age. So by opening up your mind and trying to hear different sides of news stories, I think that's the best way that you can try to paint that full picture of factual
Is what,
information.
to listen to people's opinions on it, or everyone's opinions?
To listen to both sides of, to both sides of the scenario.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes both sides of the scenario is so polarizing, it's hard to even find a middle ground on something just to get the actual fact of what's going on rather than the opinion on the left or opinion on the right or whatever. I mean, it's just, I think it's very tiring to have to seek out what the facts are and what your opinion should be on those. I just think we get opinions all the time. We give opinions on this podcast. People, you listen to other podcasts, you're always getting opinions. You listen to ESPN, Fox News, MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, whatever it is, you're going to get different opinions about everything. It's just sometimes very overwhelming because I think we've come to a point where personality sometimes trumps fact and opinion. Fact, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah. So what do you recommend for people? How do they combat that?
I mean, it's a challenge. It's to your point, obviously you want to read, you want to understand both sides, read regularly, different news sources, watch different people, understand, and make a decision for yourself. But I think what's challenging is like sometimes you feel like you read something and like, what if it's, for example, someone's telling you that you should think one way or do something, but you don't believe it. You should do that. But they think it's fact, whereas you might not necessarily think that's right. I don't know. It's just like sometimes really challenging.
So how do you personally try to get through all that stuff? Like, what do you do to try to find?
Well, you go out and you have conversations with other people, what they think about it. You do your research too. But me doing my research, like, what does that look like? I'm not opening up a textbook or going to like a university library and reading about something specific. No, I'm reverting back to the outlets that I like to read. But the thing is that I like to read them because they're interesting and sometimes they validate my opinions.
Yeah. Completely goes back to what I was saying earlier, right? This is why I think Sophie's onto something incredible with the conversationalist because, we're at a very divisive time in our country. This has happened before. So it's not necessarily new, but I think the more we can open our minds to other people's opinions and actually hear why they think that way, right? Not just, oh, that's different than me, therefore it's wrong, but trying to empathize with them and put ourselves in their shoes to understand why their opinion may be that, right? If someone is, anti-abortion or anti-LGBTQ rights, even though I disagree with those things, what is the reasoning behind their thought process? And I think sometimes that comes back full circle to stories in the news, right? I think what sparked this conversation for you, Parker, is you were saying that Joe Rogan, his podcast is now being flagged because it was spreading questionable information about COVID-19 and vaccinations, right? And that's what's been crazy. I think it's a perfect scientific experiment of seeing how information has been disseminated in different ways, right? Like, I'm not a scientist. So firsthand, I honestly don't know like how vaccinations work, right? All I know is reading from scientists, reading from doctors, and reading from our health experts and hearing what they have to say and trying to make a judgment call on the best decision for me.
But the crazy thing is that even our health experts are on both sides of the aisle too when it comes to things like this. The two conversations that Joe Rogan had that was flagged were renowned doctors. and they had opinion that was in the minority compared to the rest of doctors, but they are super, super credentialized. Like, and it's like, dang, you have these people are saying this. You have the majority of people saying this other thing. Like, what is right? What is the thing to do? And at the end of the day, it comes down to what you think and you believe. And to be honest, I feel like sometimes in today's day and age, people are like, if you don't believe what I believe, you're an idiot, or you're different. When in reality, we just need to accept everyone's belief, as long as if it's a logical,
as long as it doesn't hurt
people,
and harm other people. Yeah, I think that
we just need to understand from their perspective, Yeah, and that's why I love what Sophie's doing, because that's what it's all about. I mean, she's creating a platform where people can, on both sides of the aisle, say, "Hey, this is why I believe this," and I don't care why you believe that. This isn't what you think or what I think. Like, this is this is the way I go about my life. And like, I don't know. I just think it's so interesting. I mean, it's America in a nutshell, right?
That it is. So, in summary, check out The Conversationalist by Sophie Barron. She was on our podcast too, so you can check out her episode as well. And just try to empathize with other people. See why they think the way that they think. And I think more often than not, understanding their background, who they are, why they have that opinion, will allow you to see that opinion in a new light and hopefully diversify your mindset. So, love that. Parker, you got a perspective for us today, man? Of course,
and this one actually ties perfectly into our conversation. I just finished Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. Crushed the book in like 6 days. Very fast read.
It's a good one.
He's definitely a very cool guy. And he's a good poet, too. A lot of his poems are pretty good. Well thought out. But he said, I wrote this down in his book, to lose the power of confrontation is to lose the power of unity. So when we believe something is not right, we believe that something seems off, you have to confront that situation and look more into that and understand why that is the way it is, understand why that person's thinking the way they're thinking, understand why they are going about the way they're going about it. And from that, we can build unity together. You can become closer to that person and understand why they go about the way they do. It is actually the opposite when we don't confront that pulls us away.
I love it. Any McConaughey quote gets me going. It's a good one. If you haven't checked out Green Lights, highly recommend that book. Parker and I both loved it. And yeah, check out The Conversationalist as well. Wonderful, wonderful organization doing some great things to break down barriers between our divisive opinions. Elevation Nation, that's all for Fortitude and 15 for this week. Until next week, peace.